Dear learners, after talking about value development and peers, we have discussed how value development is formed through peer relationship. We have talked about how peer influence is very important, especially during adolescence. And also we have talked about how peer influence does not decrease or it does not disappear. I mean, as a child grows older and older, even after passing through the adolescent stage, during adulthood also, peer influence or peer relationship remains. It never disappears. So, when we talk about peer relationship or when we talk about peer interaction, it is very important to talk about how peer learning also takes place, and we are going to talk about how peer learning takes place through activities. I am going to tell you some activities through which one can develop what is called peer learning or how peer interaction takes place. When we talk about peer interaction, peer relationship, we have talked about how peer relationship is very important to develop social skills, as well as how important it is to develop self-esteem and instilling what is called self-confidence. One of the best things that teacher can do is to develop self-esteem and instill self-confidence in the children. Self-esteem is the confidence and satisfaction one has in oneself. It is a measure of how much one likes, accepts and respects himself or herself as a person. A person who has high self-esteem is able to deal with criticism, failures and difficulties bravely. So when we are talking about peer relationship, when we are talking about peer interaction is very important to develop what is called self-esteem and instilling self-confidence. And with self-esteem and self-confidence comes the ability or the ability to make the right choices in life, because when self-confidence and self-esteem increases, children are able to make a choice based on what they know is right and stick to their decision even in the face of peer opposition. So this self-confidence and self-esteem is very important, especially when children are growing up, because they are able to make the right choices. They would not succumb to what is called peer pressure or peer opposition. They know that the decision, the right decision can be taken up because they have what is called self-confidence and self-esteem. If a child is not self-confident, if a child has a very low esteem, what happens is he or she would usually succumb to peer pressure, and he would be influenced easily by the interests of the peer group, and the peer group may not always reflect good behavior. It is very important for children to choose a good peer group, because in most cases a bad peer influence would reflect bad behavior in the child, in children, and they would become what is called deviants in the society. They would not conform to what is called the societal norms, the rules and regulations. So it is very important that children choose the right peer group, and parents and teachers have a very important role to see and to check that children or their child is in a peer group who have the right influence on children or their child. When we talk about developing a self-confidence and self-esteem, the teachers have a very important role to develop self-esteem and self-confidence in the child, because in a classroom what happens is there are children who are very bright, there are children who are very talkative, there are children who are are slow learners, they are children who are very shy. So at times what happens is, in a classroom, the bright or the talkative children tend to dominate children who are shy or who are low learners. And what would happen is, in most cases, children who are slow learners, children who are shy, children who are not able to interact with their classmates, they would have what is called low self-esteem. They would not have what is called self-confidence. So the role of the teacher is very important to cultivate self-confidence and self-esteem among the children, especially children who are slow learners or shy. So what the teacher can do, dear learners, you also can try this activity with your children or with your child, because this is pertaining to children who have low esteem, who have a low self-confidence. What you can do is, you can ask students, or you can ask your child or your children to think about their special traits and talents. Have them write down at least 5 things they do well. Each child, each student is special in his or her own ways. A child who is shy, a child who is a slow learner may be very good in drawing, may be very good in his handwriting may be very good, or you know, it could be a very simple basic thing like he brings very delicious lunch to school, and so on and so forth. So all these qualities, all these special traits that a child have, you can make them write down, and you can make them read these talents or traits in the class. You may start with children who are shy, who are slow learners. You can ask them to write these traits, and let's say you start with 5 traits or talents that they have, and ask them to read out in the class and talk about their talents and their traits. And slowly what one can see is, they would be able to develop what is called self-confidence and have high esteem, because now they will feel that, yes, I may not be very good in studies, but there are certain talents and certain traits that is special to me. I am good in writing, my handwriting is good, or I read well, or you know, I am very good in doing sketches, and so on and so forth. So this activity would go a long way in improving the self-confidence and the and instilling high esteem in the child or the student. Another way by which self-confidence and instilling high esteem can take place is by recognizing positive personal traits. What we can do, or what a teacher or what as a parents you can do, is you should give recognition to children not only who excel in academics, but also in other areas, like children who have what is called positive personality traits. In schools especially, recognition is given to children who excel in academics, sports or co-curricular activities. A child may come first in the class, a child may be very good in sports, a child may be very good in debates, in drama, but how to cultivate, how to inculcate what is called self-confidence and building high esteem, what the school can do, what teachers can do, or what as parents can do, or what family member can do, is you should also give recognition to students or children for their positive personality traits. For example, this can be done as a peer group activity. Students often know their peers even better than the teachers. They are able to have remarkable insights into each other's character, and often the teacher gets to know a student's traits through the other fellow students. To encourage desirability of good qualities and to help students get rid of the bad qualities, what teachers or what parents or family can do is this particular activity. This particular activity would help to instill or would help to cultivate what is called good personality traits, other than the child being good in studies, co-curricular activities or sports. This particular activity can build what is called the personality of the students. It can also help in instilling what is called good values in students. So what is this activity? What the teacher or what the parent or the family member can do is select any 3 or 4 good personality traits and discuss the characteristic of each of these traits with the students. For example, the teacher can say, or the teacher can ask the students that the characteristic or personality traits like discipline, honesty, being helpful, being friendly is a good personality trait. These are good values that everyone should have. So the teacher can identify these values, these personality traits, and they can the students would be asked to vote who is the most disciplined, who is the most honest, who is the most helpful, who is the most friendly among their classmates. The student or the students getting the highest number of votes are awarded certificate. This is a good activity for learning values through peers by peers, because peers or classmates in the class or a peer group are the ones who know the personality traits of the other fellow members. So through this activity, the teacher can inculcate good personality traits and also build what is called good value system in the students, because other than appreciating children or students who are good in sports, who are good in co-curricular activities, who are good in other activities, this particular personality traits wherein you identify the student or students who is the most disciplined, most honest and most helpful and most friendly will go a long way in inculcating value development in children. There are other activities wherein you can help kids make and stand up for good choices. There can be many group activities which can be conducted in classes where a situation is given to them involving an ethical dilemma. Students are encouraged to analyze and make a decision. In case the decision is to say no, but they say yes, you teach them to choose and use words or expression on how to refuse a peer's encouragement to do something harmful. If you are able to tell them to say no, then what will happen is this will make their peers respect them rather than shun them. You are able to make the children say no, because saying no, they may feel very embarrassed if they have to say no to an activity which is harmful for them, and they feel that if they say no to their peer group, they would be shunned by their peer group, they would not be accepted by their peer group. So it is very important for teachers, for parents or other family members to teach students, to teach our children, to teach the child to say no to harmful activities, to say no to the peer pressure which may harm them, which may have what is called negative consequences. And by teaching them to say no, in fact, would help the child to inculcate what is self-confidence, have high esteem, and in turn, they will be respected by their peers. And if they are able to say no, then we are training them in critical and analytical thinking and good and also helping them build what is called good communication skills, which they would use them in their daily lives, and they would be able to improve on their life skills. So when we are talking about teaching children how to make good choices in life, it is up to you and me. It is up to the parent, it is up to the elder members of the family, it is up to the teacher to be able to cultivate the concept or the ability or the analytical thinking that what your peer group says are not always having what is called positive consequences. You should be able to say no to harmful activities which have negative consequences. So this is a very important role that parents, teachers or family members can have, wherein you tell the children the ability to say no and to tell them that you should not be embarrassed to say no because it will have negative consequences, and if you say no, it would increase, in fact it would increase the respect the other peer have for you. Through activities, you can teach children forethought. What do you mean by teaching children what is forethought? You can encourage the group to think of possible results, to balance the positive and negative side to a proposed action, to think of the long-term effect of their action and then take a balanced decision. So how do you teach children forethought? How do you teach children the negative consequences of an activity which they are about to do or they are forced to do because of peer pressure? So this activity can be done by the parents, the family member or the teacher. Students can be asked to balance their decision by asking this question: will this harm me or someone else? Could doing this affect my education? If my parents knew, would they approve? Is this illegal? What will my teacher or someone who is important to me think of me if they know? So this particular activity, in this particular activity, you can ask the students these questions. If you do this particular activity, would it harm you? Would it harm someone else? Could it affect the education, his or her education? If his or her parents know the activity, would they approve? Is this illegal? What will my teacher, what will someone important to me think about me if I do this activity? So these are the questions that the children can write down and they can answer this question. So these questions will help the students to think about the consequences of their action. These questions will help the students to balance their decisions. It would help them to think, if they do this particular harmful activity, if it affects them, or if it is illegal, or if it brings what is called negative consequences, then they should not do it. So this activity can teach children to balance their decision. Like I said, it will teach children forethought, and also it will help students to make what is called good choices in life. This activity would help children to improve decision making in their life. Then we can talk about values which could be inculcated, or values which can be inculcated through peers. Let us talk about peer leader program. How do you inculcate values through peer leader program? What happens in a peer leader program is, some students are chosen as peer leaders. They may be chosen as the prefect, they may be chosen as the group captain, they may be chosen as the house captain. Peer leaders are trained to participate in counseling, support groups, drug or violence prevention programs and other such community programs where students act as positive role models for other students. So what happens is, students who are chosen as peer leaders, these peer leaders would participate in community programs, they would participate in support groups, they would participate in what is called drug or violence prevention programs, and by participating in these programs, these peer group leaders will go on and they would they would start teaching the other peer members these good values in life, how to avoid violence in life, how to say the ability to say no to drugs, and also how to increase your community service to the community. So this is how values is inculcated through peer leaders program. Certain leaders, certain student leaders would go on and they would pass on these good values to other peer members. Then another way to inculcate values through peers would be collaborative learning practices. What is meant by collaborative learning practices? When we talk about collaborative learning practices, it involves peer mentor and tutoring programs where student leaders volunteer to work as mentors to other students or student groups. So, a student who is bright would be mentoring the student who is a slow learner. What happens is, the student who is mentoring would be involved in helping academically low achievers in their studies, in improving their scores, and some bright academically oriented student would also volunteer to teach students some skills which they have acquired. For example, the student mentor would be someone who is very good in debates, someone who is good in speaking, who has a good communication skills. So he or she may volunteer to teach the other students these skills which he is good at, or other students mentor other students who are academically weak in their studies. So this is meant by collaborative learning practices. We have talked about peer leadership program, we have talked about collaborative learning practices, where we say that these are ways by which peer learning takes place. Student leaders are trained in understanding and empathizing with others, setting goals or achievable target, problem identification and problem solving while making decision, and above all communication skills in order to lead, coach and support other students, and can be good role models. So when we talk about collaborative learning practices, student leaders who are academically bright, student leaders who have already taken part in what is called peer leadership program, these are the students who would help other students improve the communication skills. They would be students who will help other low achieving students pull up their marks, increase their scores, and they would act as good role models. Another way by which peer learning can take place is through youth organization. Youth clubs or organization organizes many healthy activities like cultural programs, stage plays and dramas. They organize charity shows, they organize what is called health camps and so on and so forth. So when we are talking about peer learning takes place if you become member of such organization. You could be a member of a youth organization like a cultural club. You can be a member of a drama club. You can be a member of NSS. You can be a member of a group which organizes health camps for the poor and the needy. Then we can have what is called other activities wherein you involve students to participate in co-curricular activities, where you give students, especially shy students who are not very much interactive in the class. This gives students to show their talents like music or drama, or all these activities would help the shy students or the students who does not interact much to show their skills and also build up confidence, and they would start participating in the peer group activities. They would become more responsible. It would help in building up a social relationship with others. And because of such activities where you organize talent shows, these students who are shy, who are loners as you may call them, they would be able to show their talents, and they would it would lead to appreciation from the others, and in turn it would build up what is called their confidence, and they would participate more and more in the group activities. They would become good, responsible citizens. So we have talked about how clubs like a drama club or a music club or being a member of a health camp. We have talked about how peer leadership program and how a student mentoring academically challenged student can build up the confidence and self-esteem of another student. Then also another way by which peer learning can take place is through sports clubs. What happens in these sports clubs? Positive peer pressure can make a student feel like joining a sports club in case of a group he admires is doing it. For example, these days we see a lot of people early in the morning taking up what is cycling. So what happens is, when a student sees a person who admires is part of a cycling club, then he or she is positively pressured to join this positive cycling club. So sportsman spirit is built up, and in return the person or the student would build up what is called a healthy body, and through these membership in sports club, what will happen is the student would learn to work as a team, because a team spirit would be inculcated, and many other important values can be learned through these sports clubs. These important values I have talked about is a team spirit. Then the important value is building a healthy body and mind. Another important value would be being patient, and also taking part in these sports club would lead to the child opening up, the social interaction would increase, his communication skills would increase. So when we talk about peer learning through activities, we are talking about learning through sports club, we have talked about learning through youth organization, and we have also talked about learning through peer leadership program. We have talked about learning through collaborative learning practices. Now let me discuss another activity wherein a child, a student, your children can learn to weigh decision. Learn to weigh decision whether the decision is wrong or right. So what is this activity? I as a parent, or you as a parent, or you as an elderly family member or a teacher can ask the student to participate in this particular activity. What is this activity? This activity is important to learn how to weigh decisions. What is the consequences of a decision? Let's say you asked a particular student or a child this question. Your friends ask you to miss a class and you go for a movie. What do you do? So this is a question you ask the student or your child or your children. Your friends ask you to miss a class and you go for a movie, and let's say the movie is a very good movie which you have been intending to see for a very long time. So you ask this question and you are asking the child to write down your decision. Decision A is you go with them, or decision B is you refuse to go with them, and in C you are asked to give you ask the child to give reasons for the answer. The reasons would be if you go with them you will be missing class and you would be missing a very important class. So even then you go with them because they are your friends, they are your very good friends. Your thinking is you go with them because they are your close friends and they are also missing the class, so why not go with them? This could be the reasons for the answer. The answer B is you refuse to go with them. The reason for this answer B, that is refusing to go with them, would be you refuse to go with them and they no longer would be your friends. You are sacrificing your friendship because you refuse to go with them. So these are the various reasons for the answers, and the child may go either with the decision A or decision B. You go with them, you refuse to go with them, and give reasons for your answers. If the child says he or she goes with them, then the child is missing a class. However, the friendship is intact, so he may go with this decision. And B would be the child refused to go with them, which is why the friendship no longer would be there. So when you are asking these questions to the child, you are asking the child to weigh decisions. You are asking the child to take proper decisions. What you can tell the child is, yes, you like your friends, you would like to see a movie, which is very important. But as a parent, as a teacher, or as an elder family member, my role is to tell the child in a very diplomatic way. Yes, you like seeing the movie and you would like to go with your friends. You do not need to miss a class. You can go to the movie on a Saturday when you don't have classes. So by taking this decision, or you can tell the child, please tell your friends you do not need to miss a class to go for a movie. You can go for a movie on a Saturday when there are no classes. So the friendship would be intact and you would not be refusing to go with them on a Saturday. So this is how by asking the questions to the child, he or she weigh the decisions, and you as a parent or a teacher or an elderly family member, you can also you can intervene in asking the child to take a proper decision, because you are the one who has better experience. You are the elder person in the family, or you are a teacher who has more experience. So you would be helping the child to make a positive decision wherein he does not lose friendship also, in this case wherein he does not miss the class also, but at the same time he goes for a movie which he has always liked. So in today's lecture, dear learners, we have talked about the various activities by which we can cultivate what is called peer learning. We have talked about how certain activities can develop self-esteem and instilling confidence. We have talked about the activity where the parent or the teacher can ask students to write the positive traits that they have, the talents that they have, and they can ask students who are academically challenged or students who are shy in the class, who have less interaction in the class. They can ask these students to write the 5 talents that they have, and they can read it out in the class. This reading of their talent would help to inculcate what is called self confidence and self esteem. Then we have talked about activities where you can inculcate positive personality traits. You tell the students to vote for a particular student who is the most disciplined, who is the most helpful, most honest. So you are appreciating positive personality traits over and above academic, sports and co-curricular activities. Then we have also talked about how peer learning takes place through peer leadership program. We have talked about how peer learning takes place through what is called collaborative learning practices, and also we have talked about how being a member of a sports club, being a member of a youth club would help or would inculcate what is called positive peer pressure. Negative peer pressure is not good, because negative peer pressure would bring about what is called negative consequences. But when we talk about positive peer pressure, we are talking about peer who pressurize you to do something positive in life. It could be to take up a sports activity which makes you healthy, which makes you appreciate a team spirit, which helps you to participate in team spirit more. So, dear learners, it is very important to participate in peer activities, and these peer activities is important to inculcate positive values in life, and these peer activities should be for you and me, or for people who are undergoing a transformation in life, wherein you are entering your adolescent stage, and also not only for people who are in the adolescent stage. Peer learning is learning which goes on throughout your lifetime. It could be a peer learning which takes place during your adulthood, peer learning which takes place in your workplace, not only peer learning in school. So, peer learning takes place throughout your life, and there are so many ways through activities you can cultivate this peer learnings, because peer learning is an important aspect of our life, because as individuals, as members of the of the society, we in fact in most cases we tend to listen more to our peer group, and we tend to follow the example. So, it is very important to learn positive traits. It is very important to learn the most good behavior from peers. So, with this particular lecture, I have completed peer learning through activities, and I have completed week 10 of BEDS 002. Thank you so much for listening.